If a customer in your city opened ChatGPT right now and asked for a recommendation in your industry, would your business come up? SOCi, one of the largest AI marketing platforms, analyzed 350,000 business locations across nearly 3,000 brands. On ChatGPT, only 1.2% showed up. Gemini recommends 9 times more businesses than ChatGPT does. The reason? ChatGPT doesn't search Google, it searches Bing. Perplexity leans heavily on Reddit. Gemini pulls from Google's own results. They are each reading a different library, and your business could be invisible on one and showing up on another right now. Checking that takes about 15 minutes across ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini. And what you will find will tell you exactly what to change this week. That 1.2% number deserves a closer look because the story gets more interesting when you check the other platforms. If you're in a market with 200 competitors, roughly 2 of them are showing up when someone asks ChatGPT for a recommendation. Everyone else is invisible. But here's where it gets interesting. The same study looked at other AI platforms, and the numbers are very different. On Perplexity, 7.4% of the businesses get recommended. On Google's Gemini, it jumps to 11%, which means there's a real chance your business is already showing up on one platform and completely invisible on another. And you had no idea unless you checked each one separately. And there's another number worth knowing. As recently as last year, 76% of the sources that Google's AI overview cited came from pages already ranking in Google's top 10. That made sense. If you ranked well on Google, AI would probably mention you too. Then, in January 2026, Google updated the AI model, powering those AI overviews. That overlap dropped to 38%. The connection between your Google ranking and your AI visibility got cut nearly in half almost overnight. What that means is straightforward. Your Google rankings are no longer a reliable indicator of whether AI is recommending you. The only way to know is to actually look. When someone asks ChatGPT a question, it doesn't search some master database of every business on the internet. It searches Bing in real time, pulls up the pages that come back, and evaluates each one for clarity, credibility, and structure. The sources that pass those filters get woven into the AI's answer. And here's something that becomes very clear once you start checking businesses side by side. The ones that get cited aren't always the best businesses in their category. They are the ones where AI can find clear, structured information quickly. A mediocre service provider with an organized website, consistent directory listings, and content that directly answers customers' questions will often get cited over a better provider whose website is hard to navigate and whose information is scattered across the web. That's good news because AI visibility comes down to how clearly your information is organized, and that's something you can fix in a weekend. The other thing worth understanding is why you need to check more than one platform. ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini each have their own way of finding and evaluating sources. A business that gets recommended on one might be completely absent from another. Checking just one platform gives you an incomplete picture. So, we are going to check all 3. You don't need any software for this. You don't need technical skills. All you need is ChatGPT, a browser, and about 15 minutes. If you want a more comprehensive snapshot across all platforms, there are tools that cost around $10 to $20, but you can get a lot value from the free approach alone. Open ChatGPT, a free account works fine, start a fresh conversation. And if you're logged in, open an incognito window so you see what a stranger would see without any personalization from your browsing history. Now, type something like, I'm looking for landscaping companies in Fort Worth. What companies do you recommend? Use the kind of language a real customer would use. Think about how someone would actually phrase the question, because that's how more and more people are searching now. Look at what comes back. Which businesses get named? Is the description of each one accurate? Does it include a link to their website? Now, try a second prompt. Compare your business name versus your top competitor's name. This is the direct brand test. It tells you whether ChatGPT has enough information about your specific business to say anything meaningful about it at all. If you show up and the description is accurate, you're in a strong starting position. If you don't show up, that tells you something important. ChatGPT can't find enough clear information about you to feel confident putting your name in front of someone who asked. And that's fixable, which is exactly what this series is about. Now run the same query on Perplexity and on Gemini. Same words, same question. What you will notice is that the results are different, sometimes dramatically different. A business that shows up prominently on ChatGPT might be completely absent from Perplexity. A business that ChatGPT has never heard of might be front and center on Gemini. This is where the platform difference really shows. Only about 1 in 4 websites cited by ChatGPT also get cited by Perplexity. Each platform pulls from different sources, weighs different signals, and reaches different conclusions about who deserves to be recommended. And do a regular Google search with the same query too. If an AI overview appears at the top of the results, check who gets mentioned there. That AI generated summary is what 2 billion people see every month. And it doesn't always match what Gemini shows, even though they are both Google products. Checking only one platform gives you less than half the picture. And the platform where you're most visible might surprise you. If you want a faster way to get this information without running separate searches on each platform, there are tools that do it for you. SEMrush has a free AI visibility checker that does this across multiple platforms at once. No account required. You type in your business name or website, and it shows you where you're showing up in AI answers and where you're not. You get 3 checks a day completely free. Link is in the description. If you want to go deeper, SEMrush also has a full AI visibility toolkit that tracks your AI citations over time, so you can see whether the changes you are making are actually working. That part is paid, but the free checker alone gives you more than enough to know where you stand right now. One thing to keep in mind with any of these tools and with your manual checks, AI citations change. Research shows that 40 to 60% of AI citations shift within 30 days. What you see today might look completely different next month. These are snapshots, not permanent verdicts. Now you have looked. You have data about your own business's AI visibility that the vast majority of your competitors have never thought to gather. The question is what it means and what to do with it. Whatever you found falls into one of the 3 scenarios. Each one points to a clear next step. If your business shows up, that's a strong position to build from. But before you move on, verify the details. Is the description accurate? Does it link to the correct web page? Or the important specifics right? Things like your services, your location, your specialties. Sometimes AI mentions a business but gets key details wrong. That points to an accuracy issue. And it usually comes from inconsistent information across your directory listings. If your business doesn't show up, I know that's not what you wanted to see. When I first ran these checks across dozens of businesses during my research, I was surprised by how many well-established companies were completely invisible. Businesses with great reputation, loyal customers, solid Google rankings, and zero presence in AI recommendations. Here's what's actually going on. 86% of what AI engines cite comes from sources you directly control. Your website, your directory listings, your published content. When that information is clear and well organized, AI feels confident recommending you. When it's incomplete or scattered across the web, AI moves on to someone else because it can't piece together a confident recommendation from fragments. Which means the fix is in your hands. And in most cases, it's closer to a weekend project than a 6-month overhaul. If a competitor shows up and you don't, that's the scenario that stings the most. And honestly, it should bother you a little because that competitor is being seen by your potential customers in a way you currently aren't. But now you know the gap exists, and a known gap is infinitely more useful than an unknown one. Before you decide where you stand overall, make sure you have checked all three platforms. It's very common to be invisible on ChatGPT and visible on Gemini, or to show up on Perplexity and nowhere else. Your footprint looks different on each platform, and understanding the full picture is what makes the next steps actually useful. You have got your starting line. Here are 3 things you can do this week, each one concrete enough to finish in a single sitting. First, check Bing. ChatGPT uses Bing's search index to find information. If your website doesn't show up on Bing, ChatGPT probably can't find you. Open Bing, search for your main keywords, and see where you land. If you're not on the first page, go to Bing Webmaster Tools and submit your sitemap. This takes about 20 minutes, and most businesses skip it entirely because they have only ever thought about Google. Second, answer a real question directly. Think about the most common question your customers ask before they buy from you. Then write a page or update an existing one that puts the answer in the first paragraph. Lead with the answer and then expand on the details below. The reason this matters: 72% of content that gets cited by AI has a direct answer near the top of the page. AI engines are scanning for content that gets to the point because that's exactly what they need to pull a confident recommendation. And third, climb and clean your listings. ChatGPT pulls local data from Bing places, and about 60 to 70% of its local information flows through Foursquare. If your business name, address, phone number, and description aren't consistent across those platforms, AI reads that inconsistency as a credibility question. A 67% drop in citations has been linked to inconsistent business details across directories. Claim your Bing Places listing, check Foursquare, and make sure the information matches everywhere. These 3 moves won't transform your AI visibility overnight, but they close the most common gaps. And they put you ahead of every competitor who hasn't bothered to check whether any of this matters yet. When you opened this video, your AI visibility was a question mark. You didn't know whether ChatGPT was recommending your business, ignoring it, or describing it inaccurately. Now you know. You have checked 3 platforms, you have seen where you stand and whether the results were encouraging or sobering. You have something that 99% of business owners still don't have: a starting line. That matters more than most people realize, because the businesses that know where they stand are the ones that can actually improve. And the window to get ahead, while most of your competitors are still unaware this shift is even happening, is open right now. There's an AI visibility audit guide linked in the description. It includes the exact ChatGPT prompts tailored by industry, so you know what to type, the complete tool stack with setup instructions, and a 30-day monitoring checklist so you know what to check, when to check it, and how to read the trends over time. Prompts, tools, and checklist all in one document. The next video answers a question that's probably forming in your mind right now. You know where you stand on AI search, but what's the actual difference between improving your GEO and improving your SEO? Are the fixes the same? Do you need to choose one over the other? That's exactly where we go next. Subscribe so you don't miss it. You just found out where your business stands with AI search. The video on the screen right now explains how we got here, how AI engines decide which sources to trust, and what this shift means for every business with a website. That's the bigger picture behind everything you just checked.